Yo, 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 yo! What is good, Rap Sheet Kings, Colts Nation, baby? What's good? Hope everybody's doing great on this fine Friday evening. It's August 18th, correct? Yeah, August 18th. Had to double check myself, Time be getting away from me. I'm sorry I didn't do a podcast Wednesday like I was telling you guys that I was going to try to do, or Tuesday night. Time got away from me, and I had some personal things going on in my life. But don't think that I've been lacking on Colts info, because when I'm not here and I'm not discussing it with you guys, I promise you that's exactly what I'm doing every day, day in and day out. I eat, sleep, breathe Colts football. Obviously, you guys can see it. It's probably like my favorite hobby on earth. It's probably, even though it's all about analytics and reviews and just staying up to date on what's new. We've had a lot of stuff happen just from now and my last podcast. Honestly, I'll get into it all. I've got a layout sheet that I'm gonna go over a couple key things that we're gonna hit on today. We're gonna talk about Richardson. We're gonna talk about Minshew. We're gonna talk about the mindset in Colts inside the Colts building compared to last year and this year. That's a big one today. JT issues, obviously, we're gonna still talk about that. I went to training camp Tuesday. I seen Kent Sterling, which was really cool. I wanted to try to get a pick, but I didn't want to ruin his segment he was recording, so I didn't want to hoop and holler like I'm always doing when the players are walking by. So I didn't get a chance to take a pic with him, where you guys would have seen it up on my Twitter page. But yeah, I went to training camp Tuesday. I'll get into that. I have a lot of good mental notes and things that I saw. I take away from my opinion on how I think players are going to react, what's going to unfold in the regular season, just from that one day of training camp. Obviously, can't judge a book by its cover a whole lot, but I think I have a good eye for reading talent and how things are playing out and how the organization is thinking with the way things are getting presented on the field. We're going to hit on injuries. That's a big one this week. We've had a lot of big injuries. Obviously, some happened last week and week prior to that even, but there was a couple more this week that were pretty big. I'm going to get into rotational moves, I think. There'll be a little bit of rotational moves. We'll see probably a different scheme on our defensive line. We'll get into that a little bit as well, and our offensive line, honestly. But I'll get into preseason notes for tomorrow evening's game. Some of the key points around what I think should happen, what is going to happen, things of that nature about the preseason game tomorrow. And then I'm also going to get into position battles. From what I've seen on the field Tuesday at practice, there's a lot of positional battles going on right now, especially after the scrimmage scrimmage Wednesday and Thursday. I think that, or the joint practices, really. I've seen a couple of things online, and from Tuesday alone, I can definitely spot a few key position battles that's going on. Not really starters, potentially. Most of them are kind of the backup positional battles. There are a few starting positional battles or split roles throughout the game that are positional battles, but most of them are going to be backup positional battles. There's a few starting ones, but most are just kind of backup positional battles for now. And that'll be basically what we cover on today's segment, Rap Sheet Kings, baby. Appreciate all you guys that come by and watch the video after. I appreciate everybody that tunes in live. Obviously, my computer's behind me, so I can't really read the comments, but I always check them out after the podcast is over if there's anybody commenting in there, and I always read on those. And sometimes if it's a really good comment, I'll even bring it up in my next podcast. It's one of those things that kind of help me keep rolling as well, not just on Colts info, from your guys' personal take and things of that nature. But yeah, let's just get right into it. A couple key things. They named Richardson the official starter for the regular season, which I'm very glad that they did, because he needs, like I said in the past podcast, he needs as many reps as he's going to be able to get. Him and other first-round quarterbacks that played that little amount of games really haven't tuned out to what they should be without those starting reps in the NFL, so it's good because he's a different specimen compared to those other guys as well. It was Mitch Trubisky and the late quarterback that passed away from the Steelers. I can't think of his name right now off the top of my head. But he was also one of those first-round guys that got picked with a very limited amount of starting role in college games. But for them to name Richardson their starter this far ahead of the actual regular season is nice. We're not sitting here. We're not curious. It's not a cloudy view. Is it going to be Minshew? Is it going to be Richardson? No, it's going to be Richardson, and he's going to get all the reps that he truly deserves to become that specimen in the NFL and be that prime athlete that everybody knows that he can be. We'll get into a little bit more of what I've seen from him in training camp and things once I get through some of these key points on today. But, I mean, that's a big one to hit. I mean, Richardson's named the official starter, and not only that, but Minshew's happy about it. I mean, I think he already kind of had an idea it was going to happen with us drafting him as high as we did. When you take a guy that high in the first round at pick number 4, I mean, you got to expect that he's potentially going to take that starting role. But for him to be happy about it and completely understand what's going on within the organization, it's nice to have that veteran at quarterback that's content, that's happy, that's trying to boost your rookie as well, trying to make him better as well. So it's great to see that camaraderie in the quarterback room right now. That's probably my favorite takeaway of the quarterback room right now is the camaraderie in there. How Minshew's been so calm and collected and understanding and supporting. That's exactly what you want out of your veteran quarterback that's not starting. You don't want a guy that's really upset about not getting the snaps. You want a guy that's wanting to be positive, wanting to influence, wanting to encourage, just if anything were to happen, Richardson, he's a nice go-to. But it's nice that he understands what we're trying to do within an organization. Getting into that, we'll talk about the mindset. I think that Shane's mindset kind of helped Minshew. Not saying that Minshew wouldn't have done that already with a different coach, and if that would have happened, but with the way Shane's mindset has been since he has came to Indianapolis from Philly, he has really turned a lot of things around, in my opinion. I mean, compared to training camps, last year's training camp kind of looked a little bit as the same as this year's training camp. There's not much different things going to happen in training camp. Maybe a few things here and there, that twist and turns that puts Shane on his own personal spin on things. But most of all, from training camp, it looked about mostly the same as it usually looks. You got to see some flashes. You got to see the guys' work ethic. You got to see them being super cool and supportive with the fans. It's just one of those things, you know. I will say, though, I feel like the only difference I can take away from this year's training camp to last year's training camp, as people are on the sidelines, as players are on the sidelines and fans are on the rails and the grandstands and whatnot, most of the fan interaction while practice is going on, there has been none. Like, I personally was trying to talk to a few guys, you know, try to get a smile at them or something, but they're acting like you're not there, and that's a great mindset to get dialed in on the season. Obviously, at the end of practice, people are a little bit more chatty, which is good because you're not focused and tuned in on the practice, and you can be sociable and get that praise from the fans that they're trying to give you. But yeah, that's the only really difference that I could really take away from last year's training camp to this training camp. Last year's training camp, I seen other guys yelling at people. Not yelling, but like chirping at people, boosting them up, you know, and they were like looking over their shoulder, grinning, smiling. I mean, you occasionally had that this year, but most of the time it was not. It was like not. That was not a non-existent thing, you know, to be honest with you. So just the mindset in the building. It was like Pat was saying on his podcast a couple of days ago, or it might have been yesterday actually. Pat McAfee, he was saying just about how different the organization was within. You know, it was a poo show. It was honestly a poo show, honestly, at the end of the day, because you got people going in, showing up late anytime they want. Obviously, you had the gambling issues within the organization, which I'm really happy that IR only got a year suspension. That's great for him. Hopefully he comes back, gets on a team next year. Because I really like the person Isaiah Rodgers was. For him to get involved up in that scandal was just kind of, he knew what he was doing, but at the end of the day it wasn't right, and it's nice that the NFL kind of sees it as possibly giving him another chance if another team wants to take a risk on him in the future. I personally love that guy. I think he is a great athlete. I think he has a great mindset. He's always positive. So for that to kind of happen is just, it's just not a good thing, you know what I mean? So other than that, though, I mean, the mindset that Shane has brought in since then has been completely different. You're going to show up on time. You're going to work hard. You want to be a starting player. You want to be a key role in this organization. There's going to be things that you're expected to do day in and day out, and he's brought that to the table. So it's nice to kind of see that janitorial sweeping up shit, sweeping up stuff, not just sweeping it under the rug. That's probably the biggest thing that, in my opinion, that I'm really caring for at the end of the day. But because you don't want to just sweep this dirty stuff under your mat, under your rugs in the locker room. You want to sweep them up with a dustpan, clean them up, make sure it's right, make sure it's tight. And that's from my understanding, from all the reports. A lot of guys for the Indy Star, people of that nature, they like to smoke screen, they like to cloud. You don't really see bad stuff coming out about the Colts. They have it really under lock, but I think that you need that ultimate realness to kind of let your fan base kind of see what's going in. Obviously, you don't want these other organizations around the United States to look in and see exactly what's going on within your organization, because it hurts your players' value, it hurts your staff's value. You don't really want those things going on. But at the end of the day, the biggest thing that I consider and I think is big is that Steichen's not really talking about those things. He doesn't talk about individual players, but you can tell there's just a different mindset ever since he's been here. He's you're going to do it right, you're going to show up, you're going to do this. Or there will be repercussions at the end of the day. You might not hear about the repercussions, but you can tell that he's got definitely a tight rope on the steeds in the stable at the end of the day, which is what you want from your head coach. New first season head coach, did great things in Philly, so it's already looking like he's starting to do great things in Indy, and it's not even to the regular season yet, which is a great thing to see right off the bat. Taken away from the Richardson start, mentioned being happy, and the mindset that Shane's put on, there's 3 of the key topics off the table already. And going into it, we're going to get a little bit deeper with these next topics, so you might want to listen closely, because some of these things are going to be, I think, key, vital things as the season comes to the beginning and start of the regular season. I think that you'll be seeing a lot of these individual things start to get wrapped up, start to get understood, positions starting to get locked up. Those battles starting to dwindle down. Obviously, there'll be a few little battles here and there throughout the regular season, obviously, but just kind of getting more of a lock hard on things rather than just a soft curiosity, you know what I mean? That's better than a squishy platform. You're going to have a firm, solid base of understanding on what's exactly going to go down. To tee off on that, we're going to talk about the JT issues. Obviously, he had the issues with Irsay in their personal meeting, and I don't know why Irsay made the tweet about the running backs and the pay and all of that, things of that nature. He's one of the oldest owners in the league, probably gave him a notch on his belt to kind of say something on that nature, trying to help the league out as well, help these players understand as well. But it definitely probably shouldn't have personally came with him with already having the JT issues and having a top 5 back. That falls under that umbrella that he was tweeting about back then. Honestly, that was probably the only mistake throughout all of it that Irsay's even made. I love Jim Irsay. I think he's a great guy. I love the way he withstills a winning mentality, or tries to. But he eats, breathes, sleeps football, and that's the same kind of guy that I am. So at the end of the day, he's in a very big position, a highly held regard position in the NBA, in the NFL. Goodness, I cannot talk today. Highly held regard position in the NFL, like himself as being an owner. That doesn't go taken lightly with things that you go on and say. You know, like, I'm glad he took a bold stance and he said what he needed to say and tried to take it for the whole league as a perspective, but at the end of the day, with the situation in the hot water that we were potentially about to be treading in with Taylor, I think that kind of sparked it. I mean, JT has a new agent for this year. He got rid of his old one. I think his old one they were gonna be able to kind of meet somewhere in the middle. And from my understanding is, the Colts are down here, JT's agent's up here, and neither one of them want to break right now. And at the end of the day, one of you guys are going to have to break. I mean, you're going to have to break. I don't think that the Colts have a problem with breaking and meeting in the middle. I think it's JT's agent that really has the problem. He says, yo, this is the bottom line. He wants this, he's wanting this, or issues are going to be happening. I think that's kind of from what we have saw arise with the issues as well. all speculation. I don't know anything concrete. Just my opinion. But I can tell you this 100% that JT came back to Indianapolis for one day after his rehab on his ankle that he left the state for, and then he came back and he still didn't. He still wasn't really with the team. He was in Indy, not Westfield, and then he was only there for a day, I believe, and then he's already out on. They say personal leave. That's totally excused. But I think that's kind of a way to make him potentially look better. Like I said, I don't know what's going on in his daily life. I don't talk to these people. They don't want information about his personal life getting out like that. Totally understandable whenever you're a celebrity like you are. You don't want those little stories getting out, and especially potentially hurting your stock, even if it's not as big of a issue that really needed to be taken with the personal leave. But at the end of the day, you've got it was just like Pat and Shefty were saying that it's definitely a case of contractitis. Like if he went and tested, he would probably test for that. I think that definitely plays an issue of why he went out of state to get this medical attention, why he came back, and then all of a sudden he's gone again on a personal excused leave. I mean, it's all just smells a bit fishy in the air, and I think he's trying to play the cards that he can without getting suspended or fined. At the end of the day, I honestly do. Maybe the Colts are recognizing that, and they're covering for him because, like they said, he's one of the best players, if not the best player in the organization right now. I understand why he was wanting the payday, but at the end of the day, we're in rebuild mode. The running back market is how the running back market is. I mean, you got guys like Dalvin Cook who just took an $8 million deal. You got guys like Ezekiel Elliott who I think took I don't know if it was a $4 million deal. I've seen $6 million, but then I've seen a $4 million deal as well on a different, so a 1 year $4 mil, and then someone said he took a $6 million deal. I don't know if that's with incentives or with what, but potentially a $6 million deal. I seen he got $4 million guaranteed. And that's from Ezekiel Elliott to the Patriots. Dalvin Cook's on the Jets. I mean, these are prime running backs not making over 10 mil, and you got JT I think over here asking for 10, 12 mil. I mean, I don't know the exact number, but offhand, that's probably what I'm thinking, because you got guys over here like Kareem Hunt that could easily walk in and take a $4 million deal right now, who's proved that he could be a good back in the league. He might not be top 10, but he's definitely going to be top 20, top 15 every year. He's just that style of an athlete. That's kind of where I'm at on the JT issues. He's on leave right now for personal excused reasons. He came back to Indy for one day after his rehab. I want to say he was out at training camp a couple of days, maybe 1 or 2 days, in a jersey with a hoodie on. I mean, as a head coach and Steichen, with us running as many RPOs as we have been running, and we're going to run because Richardson's a mobile quarterback and he can scramble. So if you got that running read option coming out of the backfield, it's gonna make the defense sway a little bit, and you're gonna get a little bit more cushion on where you want to move the ball. With that RPO styled running scheme, that center, quarterback, running back are your key roles in that scheme. So without Taylor taking these practice touches with Richardson and understanding his feel and his movement and his handoff speed and his tuck speed and his pop speed into his gut, like those are just little things that are going to probably play a big role whenever the regular season comes around. Just my opinion. Who knows exactly what will happen with that, but that's kind of where my takeaways with JT sitting out and them not getting these contract issues worked out. That's probably the biggest takeaway right there, is you're hurting your rookie quarterback potentially without figuring out how to squash the bug with Jonathan Taylor and his agent at the end of the day. That's where I'm going to put the pin in at. Hopefully some more information comes out within the next week or so. Hopefully they can get to talking. But they honestly need to. I'm going to take another phrase from their show. You got to etch-a-sketch it, because you got the Colts over here on one side drawing up what they think, and you got his agent over here drawing up what he thinks, and neither one of them are connecting on this etch-a-sketch, even in the same area code. So at the end of the day, you need to wipe every conversation that you've had off the table. You need to go back to your roots. He's your best player on your team. You need to respect that. Get him what he can feel comfortable with getting paid. But at the end of the day, I think that if this agent doesn't break down and come to an understanding that, yo, this is the kind of amount of money that you need to be expecting at the end of the day, because this is their financial issues that they have going on right now. If you want to stay in Indy, you're going to have to do this, and you're going to have to figure out how to meet in the middle to understand this contract extensions. But you can't let guys at 24 years of age, who's already been through his whole rookie contract, and just because then at that point let him walk, because then at that point we're building great players or helping build great players just for them to leave Indianapolis, and we don't want that at the end of the day. We want our key role players, especially ones that we've built up, to stay around for, hopefully their whole career. But at the end of the day, whenever they start asking for too much and they're too old, obviously you got to let them walk and see what they can do in free agency. But right now, he is in his primal age of years. Like, yes, he has a bunch of touches. Yes, he's the running the back life in the NFL is not that long. So this will probably be his last big contract extension on the table. And he needs to think that too, that 2 years from now, doesn't he want to have guaranteed money going into those type of situations on the next 2 years potentially, where you're 28 years old, then you're hitting the free agency market to kind of see what you're worth, see what you can get if you don't like what they're offering you. But at the end of the day, I do see where he's coming from. This is his last big payout, potentially his last big contract extension, the most money he's going to ever make in his life on this next extension. So at the end of the day, he's taking that into account. The Colts need to take that into account, and they need to figure out a way to shake the Etch-a-Sketch board and reconnect those lines to figure out where you can both be happy, both mutually meet in the middle. I mean, we were the ones that took the chance on him out of college when everybody else was pooping on him. Whenever they were saying he couldn't catch out of the backfield, he had touched the ball too many times, he won't live that long in the NFL. Things of that nature. We took that on the chest, and we still took that chance on him because we knew the athlete that he was. Same thing goes for Richardson. They want to knock on him how many games he's played. They want to knock on his throwing ability. Do whatever you want, but we're taking a chance on him because he is a primal athlete. Every time we've taken a chance on these primal athletes, they've always showed out. So at the end of the day, Richardson is going to have his time, and he will be showing out at some point. He's too driven. His character's too good. He is so big, you guys. I don't think you understand how much bigger he is than Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. Like, this dude is like Goliath almost compared to these guys, honestly. With his arm, with his size, with his muscular bulkiness, like, he's just such a beast, man. And he's so fast, he's so elusive, and man, that arm strength. He threw that on his back foot sidearm, and that thing went faster than an overhead pitcher in D1 right now. Like, I don't know. I think that JT needs to get this worked out, but I think the way they need to work it out is the Colts organization and JT's agent both need to honestly realize what's in front of them, both of them, at the end of the day, or it's going to keep continually be hard. But I think that there has to be a way, a come to Jesus moment where you have to meet in the middle on these contract negotiations. You can't just expect this bottom line dollar. You're going to have to negotiate a bit. That's why you got an agent for. And if the agent's just not wanting to negotiate and he's giving you this one price over and over and over and over, that's an issue at the end of the day. That is a major issue. All right, but let's put a pin in that. A little tea break. I'll go over what I've covered, what I'm going to cover. So I've covered the Richardson to start, Minshew's happy, the mindset of Shane, the JT issues. That's really probably the bigger things. Now we're going to kind of get into the positional battles, my training camp personal ideas, the injuries, rotational moves, the preseason game notes, and the new signings. Alright, so first, we'll talk about the training camp mental notes, because this will probably be the last big thing other than the positional battles. The rotational, the preseason game notes, and the new signees and injuries will be very quick. There's not much to talk about those, just about the facts. But the training camp mental notes, in my opinion, Richardson had some deep bombs that were overthrown. Um, the running backs looked very good. Dion looked very good, but I seen they were working out Evan Hall a little bit more that day personally. I seen Kenyon Drake out there. Kenyon Drake did get much love. He must be just still trying to get the playbook down, still trying to get the organization scheme down, things of that nature. But from what I seen, it looked like Kylan Granson was getting a lot of love. He might be the main Colt that gets the most personal up personal booster, I should say, to his value of the team with the addition of Richardson. He's been loving Granson. I noticed he's been loving Pierce. Pittman's going to be kind of a hard target to get to. I mean, he says just throw it up to him and get it, but most of the time I seen he was either in double coverage or tight single coverage, and it was a deep pass. I mean, you don't want that coming out of your rookie quarterback. You're going to stray away from that most of the time. So he's looking for those cross routes. He's looking for them out routes. He's looking for the dump offs to protect the interceptions a little bit into his own understanding. Because if he just keeps doing deep bombs, I mean, the interception ratio will be definitely very high. Other than that, I mean, I think the biggest thing that I noticed personally was the Isaiah McKenzie and Josh Downs. When I went on Tuesday, Josh Downs was getting first team reps and Isaiah McKenzie was getting second team reps with Minshew. The one thing that I took away from that was Josh Downs got a lot more action from Richardson, just like McKenzie did. And then on that second team with the Minshew, like Josh Downs at training camp Tuesday, he got a lot of love on first team, got a lot of looks. And then when the second team came out with McKenzie, Minshew didn't really look McKenzie's way a whole lot. That makes me think that they're kind of two different styled quarterbacks almost, and how they're going to be presented on the field. Richardson will be your short, move the change, keep driving the field. Minshew's going to be that guy that is just your traditional quarterback, it looked like, not really looking for the short dumps as often. But I seen Isaiah did not get much love on that second team when I went Tuesday. He didn't. I think he only got like one or two looks the entire time of the whole hour on the field, which was a little bit rough. I noticed that Straken got a lot of looks. I think Ogletree got a couple looks. Pharaoh Brown got a couple looks for Minshew. I'm trying to think of. I don't think Perriman got any looks really. Maybe one or two. But Isaiah just did not get very many looks at all, which kind of surprised me. But, I mean, it is what it is. That's kind of like my mental note. But Anthony Richardson's arm is just crazy, man. And the longer he keeps doing this practice ritual and this training camp ritual, man, his footwork just gets crispier and crispier and crispier every time. And the other big takeaway that I noticed at the end of practice is Richardson loves his fans, man. Like, he signed for, I want to say, longer than anybody else on the field that day. I mean, it was the last day of training camp before scrimmages, but that day, he signed so many. He jogged off the field, did probably a 10, 15-minute interview with somebody, and then right after the interview, he came out and signed for like another 10 or 15. So that right there is 30 minutes alone of just his time that he did not have to do that type of stuff for. So it's just great things that you like to see out of your rookie quarterback, especially a guy that's about to be the new face of your franchise. If with the issues with JT going on, if we can't figure him out, that's your new face. I mean, at the end of the day, Richardson will be your new face with JT beside him. But at the end of the day, these issues with JT is kind of really bothering the Indianapolis Colts fans very deeply. I mean, how can you not be slightly angered at JT's agent for not wanting to work it out with him? I get him. You want to make his money. You want to get him his money, especially with him probably about at halfway at his prime right now. Right now, he's in his prime. He knows the NFL to a T. I mean, I get it. You want to get him his money, but you want to keep your fan base that's grew you happy, you know. And from my understanding, none of us are really happy about how this JT thing's standing right now. So we need to get that figured out. But I mean, the new face of your franchise, Anthony Richardson, the way he's been treating fans, the way he's been talking to people. I mean, you gotta love that out of him. Honestly, out of the last couple of years that I've been going to training camp, I have not seen. Out of the rookies and stuff, I have not seen a guy sign as much as he did. honestly, Jalen Jones signed a lot too. He was out there. I ended up getting me a little mini football. Jalen Jones. I Odell'd it, you know what I mean? I Odell'd it. He like bombed it, and I was like, shoo, right above me. It was kind of cool. But one-handed it too, because I had my mini helmet in one hand that I ended up getting Richardson on, so that was really cool. But yeah, man, like, and what was really cool was he was down signing for the old folks for a good minute, and I was getting a little bit worried because I had a bunch of kids around me, and I mean, that's the kind of thing that I like to do. I like to kind of be the voice for the kids at the end of the day, because these kids are going to be the next generation that are coming up, and if they're massive Colts fans and they see this love from these athletes whenever they get to be my age, they're going to have that same type of love. And I know all of my friends right now all have kids, and don't you want that, you want to keep that base there. So just the way Richardson preceded himself was awesome. He gave all the old folks love right after the interview, because they were all piled up right by the interview tent. And then I was like, Richardson, you got kids down here, man. You got little kids, a bunch of them. And then the little kid said to his mom that was like on the fence, he was like, Mom, I want to go down there. And she's like, no, son, you're staying right there. You're there. If you don't get it right here, you're not going to get it at all. There's too many people down there. You're going to get hurt. And I was like, that's whenever I looked at him, I was like, bro, you got to let him know you're down here. You got to be yelling for him. You got to let him know you're down here, because whenever you hear an older guy yelling, yo, there's little kids down here. I mean, how much, like, if you don't hear any little kids down there, why are you going to go down there, you know? So it was just one of those things, and he looked at the mom was like, listen to him, if you want his autograph, you better let him know you're down here. And he was like, Anthony. And then obviously the other little kids that were around him, he was probably like 6, 7 years old. There was probably like, I want to say four to six more other than just him in that general area. And once he started chirping at Anthony, you best believe all the other kids got the courage too. All the little kids, they were like, Richardson, Anthony. Like, and it was so quiet up until that point, which I don't know why. You figured that everybody would be trying to talk to him, you know. But anyway, like, everybody was super respectful fan wise. I didn't really see any rude people hurting any little kids or pushing little kids out of the way, which is what you want to see from your fan base. You don't got any nasty people. I mean, I will say, though, when Anthony did hear the little kids, I was like, you hear them, Anthony? They want you. And then he ended up passing up like 10 old folks and coming down the line and immediately stopped at the little kids that were yelling his name, which was really, really, really cool. Signed all the little kids' stuff, and then after all the kids in front of me got their stuff, I made sure to, like, kind of give them the block out so I could get the adults behind me back, because whenever he ran over, they tried to transfer over as well. And you got to kind of shield the kids, you got to protect them. And I kind of like held them back, like blocked out NBA moves, and they kind of scurried out to their moms and stuff after they got the autograph, which was really cool. But man, I will say, right after they left and I ended up getting my autograph from him in like the last couple of minutes he was signing. Literally right after I showed him I had my Bowman rookie card of him, and I was telling him that I just pulled the red border one rookie card out of the Score Panini Pack 2, which was really cool. So I got 2 rookie cards of him now, which is awesome. But I had the Florida one, the reflector card in plastic, double plastic, and I showed him I had it, and he just smiled real big. And when he started signing the mini helmet, I told him that I pulled that red Panini border score card literally 2 days before I came, and he looked back up at me and just shook his head smiling. And like, when I got my helmet, that's like the thing I do is like I try to talk to them for a minute, get their vibe out, make them smile, let them know how much they're appreciated from me as well. And after I get it in my Audi, I try to get away, because I know everybody else is dying to have it as well. But that was what I was going to say, was right after I got my autograph, I turned around and I see a bunch of old men. I'm like, oh my gosh, man. Like, I get it. I understand you want it, but that's when you got to do one of these moves. You got to, like, tuck down and wiggle your back, like, shake your butt a little bit, kind of wiggle your way out. And as I was wiggling my way out, I had like 4 old guys pat me on the back. They were like, thanks, man. Thanks, bro. Thanks. I'm like, bro, like, I get it. I've been there, but man, chill. But man, it was really cool. Like, Anthony, where I was going with that whole convo was Anthony really loves his friends, and training camp was a great day. I still can't believe I got it on this mini helmet right here. He's the only one on it, so very cool. nice. This was literally my biggest reason to go into training camp was just to be able to get to talk to him for a second, see what the team was looking like, things of that nature. So it was really cool when I ended up being able to get Zodi. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't have been able to do it if he wasn't as heartfelt and his characteristics weren't the way they were. Like he's just a true individual. He cares about the kids. He wants to make his fans happy. Like the dude was out there signing longer than anybody that I noticed, and even the guy was like, "You got 5 minutes, man. You got 1 minute, man." He was like, "Hell, man, I'm gonna do a couple more." You know what I mean? Like it was just really cool, man. Like you can tell he cares about his fan base, and we care about him. We're happy to have him here in Indy. I mean, the dude is a primal athlete. He's a specimen, dude, and he's gonna be a beast here in the next couple of years. He might even show out a little bit this year. I'm hoping he gets Offensive Rookie of the Year, but we got a lot to do. We got to get JT's contract right. We got to make sure our O-line is solid. And that's what I'm kind of going to get into in the next part of my segment is, all right, we got to get our O-line right, I mean, we got to get our offense right. I think we do have a couple receivers and tight ends that are going to make him look good and make things easier on him. But at the end of the day, we need to get the JT stuff situated, and we got to get our offensive line situated as well. But yeah, basically training camp was amazing. It was great seeing everybody out there. It was nice seeing Shaq out there, running around, smiling, hooting and hollering. I mean, you gotta love seeing that. When you got a healthy Shaq, he's the best man to be around in your organization on the field. I love it. But anyway, getting off the track of kind of little things here and there. Just kind of wanted to tell you guys about my training camp experience and kind of what I saw. And I mean, it was kind of everything. Most of the stuff I seen on film, but there was just the biggest thing I noticed was how crispy his footwork, Richardson's footwork, was starting to get. How he loves his fans and his appreciation is there for the fan base. It's not just one of those regular celebrity type guys who's just like, hey, sign 10 things, I'm gone, good luck. While you have a mob of people there, so that's really cool. But other than that, Josh Downs got first run on Tuesday. Isaiah got second runs, which was kind of different from how we've been seeing things play out so far this year. Evan Hall got a little bit more of a workload than Deion Jackson did. That was a little bit different. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, Nick Cross looked good out there, second-year player. There was just a couple good things I seen. Juju, I did not expect Juju Brents to be as tall and skinny as he is. He looks like a Pittman, but on defense, honestly. He's fast too. It was nice seeing Darius Rush as well. I mean, he's a little bit shorter and he's fast, but he's a little bit shorter than I kind of thought he would be. But Juju is one tall corner, man. Juju is a very tall corner. I see why they were so interested in the draft. All right, so now teeing off from the training camp mental notes, we'll get into injuries a little bit. Man, we just had a big crucial injury yesterday or the day before with Ashton Dulin. He tore his ACL and he's out for the year now, which was going to be he's always been a vital asset to our special teams and filling in on the wide receiver slot whenever he's needed to on certain plays. So that really hurt. But that opens up that room for Straken or potential Perryman or, people of that genre who wasn't really going to get the look because Doolin worked so hard. He's done everything. He loves Indy. He's always part of everything that he can be a part of on the field. So that's nice. And plus, it doesn't really hurt our special teams as much because Doolin wasn't going to be on really... I mean, I'm sure he had been blocking or something, but he wasn't going to be a return man at all. So it was nice to not hurt our special teams as much, but just to lose him as an asset for the wide receiver room kind of just really stinks, especially because how great he's been for our organization and stuff. So we really hope that he gets back to feeling good by the end of the year. Hopefully it doesn't hurt him and hinder him in any way next season. But that really stunk, man, to have that injury come out in preseason in a scrimmage game against the Bears. It wasn't even a preseason game; it's just a scrimmage at training camp. So prayers and thoughts be with Ashton Dulin. Keep him in your minds because he's a great player, great asset, super respectable player. But other than that, we had Jernard Avery get hurt. That was one of our defensive linemen, which he was going to be a rotational player in my opinion. But at the end of the day, thoughts go out to him. He's also going to be out for the whole year. I think he had the same kind of issue. So that really stinks as well too. And then obviously Zach Moss with the broken arm. Hopefully he'll be back middle of the regular season or so. I know he was a nice add in the offseason going into training camp. It stinks that he hurt it last week or 2 weeks ago at training camp. That definitely stings. So our offensive room's kind of getting hurt, along with Jake Witt, our NFL rookie draftee, also out for the year. Just there's little things with the Doolin, Zach Moss, and Jake Witt all going out with our offense trying to rebuild. It definitely never looks good. It definitely is not a great start for your offense on the season, especially with the stuff going on with JT right now. It's just not what you want to happen for your offense. I mean, you don't want anybody to get hurt, but at the end of the day, these kind of guys are your next up guys that would be filling in those shoes, and they're the ones getting hurt. So now if your starters go down, you're down a triple peg. So it definitely puts a hindrance on your offensive team. But as far as defense, you got Jernard Avery. That's really the biggest injury on defense that we had, which is, I mean, it's not a great injury. Nobody's a great injury, but if you had to look up on the team lineup board, I mean, you would rather him than a Kwity Paye, a Grover Stewart, a DeForest Buckner, the rookie out of Bayo or whatever, and then you got Deo as well out of Bingo. I mean, those are the kind of guys that they would have got hurt. That would have been a little bit more drastic, but at the end of the day, like I said, you don't want nobody getting hurt, but there's just injuries that happen that are more manageable is where I'm going with this. But yeah, other than that, you got D-Buck, who's still dealing with the ankle injury. He's been out since August 3rd. Shane Steichen keeps acting like it's not a big deal, that's not going to linger over into regular season. Hopefully it doesn't. We need DeForest Buckner. He's one of our primal athletes on defense, along with Kenny Moore and Shaq and Julian Blackman. We really need Buckner. We really do. Other than that, Ryan Kelly, he's dealing with a little ankle or something right now as well. Hopefully he'll be back because this is a prove-it year for him. That with the last 2 years of how they went, this is a prove-it year for him. That if he has a mobile quarterback, can he do a little bit at protection? In my opinion, he will. He's a Pro Bowler for a reason, 2-time Pro Bowler at that. Ryan Kelly will be able to do those things at the end of the day, in my opinion. So that's about some of the injuries. Like I said, I don't know all of them. That might be all of the injuries right now, other than JT coming back from his rehab on his ankle injury. He's taking time away as well. I'm pretty sure he's the only one on the PUP list. Tyquan Lewis got activated a week or two ago off the PUP list, which is huge. That's what I'm saying. With losing Jernard Avery, you got Tyquan Lewis with him coming back from an injury last year. So that's nice to have. It's not nice to have the injury, but it's nice to have that player coming back and have that solid defensive line like you do with a defensive lineman going down. Though it's a rotational guy. But some of the rotational moves that I'm going to talk about, actually, before rotational moves, let's talk about the new signs. With Doolin getting hurt, the guy that was made it through our rookie minicamp, we released him after the minicamp. We signed Perriman. We ended up signing him back, Tyler Adams. Nice sign. Potential guy that could be the next Doolin in the incoming years. Hopefully Doolin recovers so he stays Doolin, but at the end of the day, next year is a whole year away. It's a lot can happen in a year's time. We also, like I said, we have Kenyon Drake. I haven't seen a lot out of Kenyon Drake yet, honestly, at training camp and scrimmages in the last preseason game. Hopefully we see a little bit more of Kenyon Drake in the next preseason game, but I feel like we're still not going to see a lot of him. So hopefully in the incoming preseason games after this one, we might see a little bit more of him. But yeah, I didn't see a lot out of Kenyon Drake out of training camp. I didn't see a lot out of him out of that last preseason game or this new one. So yeah, we'll go from there. We also had a meeting with Kareem Hunt, like I was saying, looking probably for about $4 million. Definitely a lot cheaper than Taylor. So if you don't plan on extending Jonathan Taylor at the end of the day, it'll probably be a good signee just to make sure you have solidification in your backfield. Because you don't really want Evan Hall and Deion Jackson being your starting number ones. Maybe like an RB2, RB3, but not an RB1, especially if you plan on moving Taylor or Taylor not going to be here at the end of the year for coming back next year. So That's a couple good key things. But from my understanding, is Kareem Hunt definitely he came to Indy, had a meeting, and then he left. So doesn't look like we're going to be signing him. I'm sure if a little bit more unfolds with Jonathan Taylor and he's still on the table as an option, I could see us potentially signing him if they don't work out the contract disgruntles with Jonathan Taylor. So be on the aware of that. We might end up getting Kareem Hunt. We might not. It's just one of those things. But with the running back free agency dwindling down, with Dalvin Cook gone, Ezekiel Elliott gone, I mean, Kareem Hunt is probably like one of, if not the number one back available right now. So we've got to be aware of that. He might potentially get signed somewhere sooner. He might not. Who knows how stuff unfolds. So hopefully they can work out this stuff with Taylor, figure out what's going down. Hopefully you can extend him and you guys can come to agreement. If there's no agreement that can be come upon, then I think you go around that aspect of taking in Kareem Hunt into consideration. But yeah, that's my opinion on the new signees. Now we'll talk about the rotational moves. Most of the rotational moves are going to be like Julian Blackman. He moved from, I'm pretty sure he was playing free safety. Now he's playing strong safety. That was kind of a big move for him this year. They converted him. You also got like Deo and Taekwon and Adebawore and Quiddy and Grover and D-Buck. Obviously, you're going to have D-Buck in the middle. And when D-Buck comes out, or if anything happens, Grove's going to be up in the middle. I think that Adebawore, sorry, it's so hard to say his name. I think he could potentially transition to defensive end. They might use him at D-tackle still, but with Grover and Buckner, you don't really need him playing D-tackle unless it's on a rotational move set when you're getting them a breather to keep your defense solid. I could see him playing defensive tackle then for a couple plays. I don't see him playing more than 10 to 15 plays at D-tackle a game. That's max, because most of the reps are going to go to D-Buck and Grove. So, in my opinion, if he's trying to get more play time, he needs to make a transition to play the defensive edge as well. Because if he can do that, then he can also do the snaps at DT. He can do the snaps at DE, and then you can be able to rotate in more often. But then you got guys like Deo and Taekwon and Quiddy, who I see Quiddy being your starter still, and put probably Taekwon, depending health-wise on how he is. If they're scared to hurt him health-wise, I see Deo being that other edge rusher. If not Deo and Buck is up the mid, I see Grove being the other edge rusher. So if you're running a 3 front, it's going to be Grove, D-Buck, and Quiddy. If you're running a 4 front, it's going to be Grove, D-Buck, Quiddy, and either Deo or Taekwon, but probably Deo just because you're trying to save Taekwon and his health. But I think Taekwon, depending on how healthy he is, he's a better start at the edge rusher than Deo right now. Just my opinion from what I've seen at training camp. Deo is still he's not very elusive off the edge still. He's a pretty big guy, and he's pretty slender, and he's fast, but his moves are not there to break down an offensive lineman off the edge, and that's just my opinion. But yeah, moving on from the rotational moves, we've only got 2 key points here, and then I'll be the end of the pod today. But the preseason game notes, they will not be starting any of the Bears starters. Matt Eberflus already said that he's not starting them. We're not going to see any Justin Fields. Probably won't see any Darnell Mooney. Probably aren't going to see any Herbert. I mean, we might see a quarter of Herbert, but I doubt it. That's about it. That's about it. All I can think of right now for the Bears starters. But yeah, Fields will not be playing. I doubt Mooney will be playing. I doubt Herbert will be playing. Just my opinion, but who knows? Big thing about the Colts, will they play AR? I think AR should keep playing a quarter every preseason game, and then as we get towards the end of preseason, because I think there's only 2 or 3 games left, because I think we have 4 preseason games. If not 4, we only have 3. So I think if there's only 3, you ramp them up. You let them do 2 quarters, play a half instead of just the 1 quarter, and then at the last preseason game, play a full half as well. But I think the last 2 games of preseason, he should definitely play a whole half, kind of get the understanding, get the feel, get the time down, feel the different drive sets, and go from there. But I do think, especially in this next preseason game, it's our only home game. Let him get the fill of fans in Lucas Oil. Let him play at least a quarter. If you have 2 more games after this one, if you only have 1 more game after this one, play him a whole half at Lucas Oil and go from there, But definitely, AR should definitely play. He needs the reps. He needs as many as he can get right now, especially at that NFL level of play. That's about it from the preseason game notes. We'll talk about position battles, and then we'll head out of here. Some of the position battles right now that I have noticed personally is between Deion Jackson, Kenyon Drake, and Evan Hall. I don't know who's going to get more of the workload. Obviously, Deion got a lot of the workload in that first quarter of the preseason game. But then Evan Hall also got a lot of a role as well. But then you got to take into account, you just signed Kenyon Drake, and I get it, he's trying to get the fill down of the organization and get the scheme down. But you cannot forget about Kenyon Drake. He's coming to the end of his career. He's right at the middle end of his prime. This is probably his last couple of good years that he has left in him. I think that he obviously would probably be the better start, but who knows? I mean, if Deion's outplaying him or Evan's outplaying him, I don't see Evan outplaying Deion or Kenyon at the end of the day. I think Evan Hall is a great catching backfield, but I don't think he's great at running the ball and doesn't have that tunnel vision, that field vision like a running back should have yet. Obviously, he's a rookie. He's not going to be the best. But in my opinion, Deion has that vision. Kenyon had that vision. I don't know if he still does. I haven't seen him active really. But that's running back position battles right now. The biggest wide receiver position battle is going to be Josh Downs and Isaiah McKenzie right now. They keep flopping them two back and forth. They both do special teams at returns. They are battling it out right now. I don't know. I think they're liking McKenzie more just because of his knowledge and his NFL expectancy level. But with Josh Downs being a rookie, he's just that wild card, and he has been giving McKenzie a run for his money, which is why he got first team runs at training camp Tuesday. Josh Downs is because he is picking up on it quick. He's looking good. Him and McKenzie are almost the same styled athlete and how they play on the field. It's going to be interesting to see how that positional battle works out. I honestly don't have a clue personally. Then you got kind of a lower bench battle as well. You got Straken and Perriman battling it out. If Straken stays healthy, he definitely has the position battle on lock. I don't see Perriman beating him out with especially as many looks as he's been getting in the preseason and that training camp. Straken, he has been the man over Perriman, but they're battling it out right now as well. Then you have your tight end room. You have Mo Alley, Granson, and Jaylani. Obviously, I think with as many reps as Granson's been getting with the first team, that it looks like Granson's going to be your number one, but Mo Alley is supposed to be your number one. So at the end of the day, with how much money he's making, if he's not your number one, then there's a problem. But if there was no Mo Alley on the field at all, Granson would be your number one, guaranteed. But with Mo Alley, I think Kylan's battling Mo Alley for those reps right now. But I think that Mo Alley obviously will win it because of how much money he's getting paid, and you're not paying a guy to sit the bench. So I think Mo Alley wins that position battle over Granson. Jaylani really hasn't made any noise, honestly, compared to how much Granson's made. So when the position battle comes down to Granson and Jaylani, Granson's got him beat all day. So really the next position battle, because you got Mo Alley locked in at 1, Granson potentially at 1 or 2, that really leaves Jaylani Woods, Ogletree, and Pharaoh Brown. But Pharaoh Brown has been giving Ogletree a run for his money this training camp. So at the end of the day, is it going to be Ogletree or Pharaoh Brown to compete with Jaylani? It's a lot of position battles going on in the tight end room. We knew there would be. There was last year. There is this year again. It's just like that. And I didn't even get to mention the rookie. I think it was Will Myers or Will something out of I think it was out of Miami, right? Like the white guy, the white tight end. I just don't see. He's not even really getting that look because the tight end room is so competitive. I don't even know why we ended up drafting him, to be honest, because Pharaoh Brown has been showing out in this training camp a little bit. So honestly, he's been showing out a little bit more than Ogletree has. So in my opinion, Pharaoh Brown's got Ogletree kind of burning his biscuits right now against Jaylani. But that was just what I witnessed Tuesday. Obviously, I haven't watched every single day, so I don't know what else Ogletree has been doing. I just know that day I went, it did. Pharaoh was getting a lot more love that day. And then on your defense, you've got J.J. Doman and E.J. Speed. Because obviously you got Shaq. You obviously have Zaire. So that leaves kind of that third spot. I think E.J. Speed's got it on lock, but Doman's been looking good, man. Doman's been looking really good at training camp and in preseason. So I think E.J. better watch his back when it comes down to Doman, because I think he's gunning for that third position. I mean, if not, he's definitely going to be a rotational factor with E.J. Speed. But at the end of the day, E.J. Speed and Doman are battling. They're battling as well. I think Speed's got it on lock, but at the end of the day, Doman's battling him, you know? And then you got the issue on the offensive line. This is kind of where we're going to end it today with the positional battles. This is where we're going to tee it off at. But you got Will Fries, Danny Pinter, and Hambright. They're all kind of battling right now. Obviously, whenever Ryan Kelly's out, Danny Pinter is the center. He's the man. They've established that. And then Will Fries is his backup at that point, at Danny Pinter at center. But on the offensive line, in the position that they are, I think it's tackle. If it's not tackle, it's guard. Yeah, okay, guard. Will Fries, Danny Pinter, and Hambright, they're all guards. My bad, I got them flip-flopped. I'm not great with the offensive line. But I think you're going to start Will Fries, or obviously you're going to start Q. Obviously you're going to start Ryan Kelly if he's healthy. Obviously you're going to start Braden Smith if he's healthy. So that leaves your two other positions on the offensive line still. And that leaves Will Fries, Danny Pinter, Hambright, Raymond, and Freeland, because Jake Witt's out. So that leaves 5 potential linemen that you're going to be able to rotate in. Will Fries earned that role last year to start a couple games. Danny started a lot of games last year. Raymond started a lot of games last year. So there's 3 guys right there for 2 positions. And then you've got Hambright, who's a new signee this year, who's an older guy, who really could easily be making work on the line as well. So that's really 4 guys for 2 positions. And I ain't even talked about our rookie yet, Blake Freeland. So I don't think Blake Freeland will really get that much run this year unless some people get hurt. But as of right now, you got I'd say you're probably going to start Raymond again, because you started him all last year. Why wouldn't you start him again? And you're probably going to start Danny Pinter. And if Danny Pinter isn't working out, you're probably going to throw in Fries or Hambright. That's my opinion. But I do see Raymond still starting this year on the line. And then you're going to have Will Fries, Danny Pinter, and Hambright fighting for that last offensive line starting spot. And then if it's still not working out, that's when they're going to throw Blake Freeland in the mix, the rookie that they drafted this year, and kind of give him some love too. But yeah, we got a lot of position battles going on this year. I mean, obviously it should be competitive. It should be competitive in nature, especially with how rough of a year we had last year. The last time we've seen the playoffs was with Phillip Rivers, and we went 11-5, and then obviously he said, "I'm out of here." Everybody tried to make it seem like he wanted to come back, but nah, he said, "I'm out of here. I'm coaching my son's football team. I'm out." And then word came out that he was going to maybe play in the playoffs last year for some team, but they didn't end up needing him, so that wasn't a big deal. But we've been on this quarterback turn wheel, and it's because it's been so poo in the locker room. There's not been that expectancy, accountability, the drive, the determination. And I think Shane has brought that in now. We brought a new quarterback in. We're in complete rebuild right now. Only good things can come up from here, you know? I mean, we're done doing the quarterback turn wheel. We're going to be all invested in Anthony Richardson, and that, honestly, instills a strong tightness and togetherness within that locker room alone, with seeing the same quarterback face and running your offense every year. So big things are coming. Big things are coming. You guys make sure you turn into tomorrow's preseason game, 7 o'clock. It's at home. It's at Lucas Oil. If you don't got tickets and you live in Indy, go up in there, get your tickets, go to the game, support your new team, support the building organization, and just be there to help your team, man. Root them on. If you don't have the time, or you have something going on, make sure you tune in on your phone, or tune in at home if you're a Colts fan. You know, like, give them your support, man. That way whenever I'm talking about this, you guys can kind of give me your points and your takeaways from it, and just let me know what you guys are thinking as well. But yeah, the biggest takeaway is that we're in rebuild mode. Richardson's a starter. JT issues for the contract are still there. He's on leave. He's not with the team. It's excuse, but he's not with the team. Minshew's happy about them naming Richardson starter. That's a great takeaway. But yeah, other than that, Josh Downs and Isaiah McKenzie, that's a big battle right now. And Ashton Doolin's big injury, that really hurts too for some of the schematics that we have going on for our offense. So, is what it is. And Jake Witt too. It kind of stinks about him, but it is what it is. We got Blake Freeland still. Hopefully Jake Witt comes back strong next year. And, excuse me. And that's about all I have for today, you guys. I appreciate anybody that tunes in after. Make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe button. If you feel like it, drop a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know if you think I'm right. Let me know if you think I'm wrong. Let me know your personal opinion. I love to hear that kind of stuff. But I appreciate everybody that tunes in live. I appreciate everybody that watches the upload after it's not live. I appreciate all you guys tuning in, and that's about all I have for today. Make sure you tune into the preseason game tomorrow, and I will end up podcasting, I would say, I might do one. No, I work. I might do one Sunday. Before I go into work. And I'll kind of talk about the preseason game tomorrow and kind of hit on the facts of that nature. So I'll try to do a podcast Sunday. But yeah, that's about all I have for you guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, tune in Sunday, and follow the Twitter if you haven't followed the Twitter, Rap Sheik Kings, YT. I'm trying to get better about tweeting and posting when I'm gonna do a podcast and kind of tweet out like at least an hour before. I'm gonna try to get better about that, but I'm gonna get more active on Twitter. I was really active on it last year. I'm gonna start getting active on it again this year. It's just still preseason, but yeah, I'll get more active. Obviously, you guys tuning in gets me more motivated to stay on top of it as well. Even if not, I just enjoy doing it myself. But thank you guys for all coming, and I hope you guys have a great, great, great Friday evening. It's 1 o'clock, Friday the 18th, where I'm at, and yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in. Rap Sheik Kings live out, baby. Rap Sheik Kings, baby. Rap Sheik Kings, Rap Sheik Kings, Rap Sheik Kings Nation, baby. Thank you guys for all tuning in, and hopefully I will see you Sunday. Rap Sheik Kings Nation out, baby.